This video is some background reading on ecology from The Cartoon Guide to Biology by Larry Gonick and David Wessner. Hi folks, here's some background reading to help you with your ecology lab. So in this section of the text, we're talking about all different kinds of biomes. There are large biomes like deserts, reefs, tropical forests, deep ocean volcanic vents, and freshwater marshes. Ecology is the study of environments, their biomes, and all the interactions within them. In short, it's a study of ecosystems. And mayflies love ecologists because they never swat. Organisms interact in all sorts of ways. Some of them are not so cooperative. Species may compete for resources, and this happens in at least two ways. There's interference, like the obstruction of a competitor. Eucalyptus leaves, for example, poison the grounds to stop competing plants from getting close to the trunk. And in exploitation competition, two species basically try to out-eat each other. Vultures compete with bacterial decomposers over animal carcasses. The bacteria says, "Do vultures eat dead vultures?" Asking for a friend. Not me, of course. And of course, sometimes one species simply eats another one. That's also an interaction. Herbivores like caterpillars are plant-eating animals. Cows, mice, antelopes, and this very hungry caterpillar are all examples. Predators eat other animals. Yes, ants are animals too. "Run away," say the ants. Predation stimulates a sort of arms race. Prey species evolve better defenses, while predatory species hone their attack capabilities. So the elk have herding and flocking behaviors on sharp antlers or horns, acute senses on high alert. Predators have talons, powerful jaws, limbs, fangs, claws, venom, specialized snouts. Prey have armor and camouflage, and they straight out hide. Plants and fungi may also fight off herbivores with thorns and toxins. The death cap mushroom, for example, Amanita phyllodotes, makes a lethal poison, alpha-amantin, that disables RNA polymerase. This mushroom itself survives by deploying a variant molecule. And this mushroom has a symbiote, a fruit fly, with its own alpha-amantin resistant RNA polymerase. And the fly hatches its eggs right under this deadly protective cap, because nothing else will go near it. We can think of all this eating more abstractly as energy flow. Energy enters the biosphere from outside, mostly from the sun, and an ecosystem then passes that energy through a number of trophic levels. So the energy starts with the sun, passes to trophic level 1, the producers, mainly photosynthesizing plants and microbes, which convert solar energy to the chemical energy in carbon-hydrogen bonds, fixed carbon. They make glucose. That energy then passes up the web. A little bit goes away as heat until you get to level 2. Plant eaters consume producers. And you push onward, lose a little for heat, and you get level 3 predators that eat the occupants of level 2. And so on up the chain, up that web, till you get to the very, very top level, predators on which no one else preys. But each level you lose a little energy. As usual, nature delights in complication, and these trophic levels can get mixed up, especially when you start considering bacteria and fungi. It still starts with the sun. It's more accurate to say that energy flows through a food web rather than up a food chain, because bacteria are at every level, and there are lots of interactions. Also know, eaters always have less energy than what they eat. Energy escapes at every meal. Every time you go up that level, the heat escapes. No energy transfer is 100% efficient. There's a little bit of friction all the time. For example, 1 square kilometer of grass can support 200 million wheat plants with an enormous calorie content. But that same area will support no more than 2 coyote. It's a top predator that depends on rodents and birds that live off the vegetation. There's not much energy in just 2 coyote. 3's a crowd, they say. Use these ideas to help you with your explanations about ecology.